only 29% are the ones that we can be able to accommodate in our public, primary and secondary schools.
All these schools are behind in almost everything.
For decades, access to quality education in Nairobi's informal settlements has remained uneven. As Nairobi's population grew, public schools struggled to keep pace, leaving thousands of children without adequate learning resources.
Nilikuwa nimempeleka mali watoto ni wengi zaidi. Nikaona sasa hata mali kuna wengi hao na performance hakuna, hizo vitabu asiangaliwi kila siku.
In 2003, when the third president Mwai Kibaki reintroduced free primary education policy.
Now, one of the things the late President Mwai Kibaki will be remembered for is a free primary education he introduced in January of 2003.
It caused a new surge of enrollment in public schools. But because the state, through the Ministry of Education, did not increase investment in the policy, the quality of public education deteriorated, particularly in urban informal settlements and rural areas.
We call these institutions APBET schools. They are not private schools.
Maybe the toilet, sometimes the water comes up. We are also disturbed by vehicles here.
And normally the government is supposed to have 45 learners in a class.
The falling standards of public education led to many parents in informal settlements opting for low-cost private schools, which targeted poor households in areas where public primary schools are few.
These schools give a chance to any child, any learner, as long as they have books and they're willing to come to school.
Over time, these gaps created space for alternative providers to emerge. Schools built not by the state, but by individuals and communities responding to urgent need.
One is registered as a community-based organization, the CBO.
In this documentary, we investigate how systemic gaps within Kenya's public education system have contributed to the rise and reliance of alternative providers of basic education, commonly known as APBET schools in Nairobi's informal settlements, and whether existing policy and regulatory frameworks are adequately ensuring quality and accountability. In Kabiria, a residential area situated in Dagoretti South constituency, approximately 13 kilometers west of the Nairobi's central district. Here, narrow streets double as marketplaces, playgrounds and pathways to opportunities for locals. For many families, access to education is not just a necessity, but a daily negotiation between affordability, proximity, and hope. It is within this landscape that a network of APBET schools has quietly become a backbone of hundreds of children. As you step into this building, you'd think you're walking into nothing more than a cluster of makeshift shacks, a narrow pathway. But don't be surprised to learn that this is in fact a school. Here, we meet Japheth Ombui, a director at JB Schools who claim to be a part of educators stepping in where public systems struggle to keep pace with demand.
My name is Japheth Ombui, and JB is the institution, that's the school. Behind every dream there is a story. Yeah, I remember I'm among those people who lost a parent when we were young. So I lost my father when I was in class 8 then. And as I grew up, after finishing my campus, actually after his death, my education was affected in a way. So after finishing school, I felt there are so many kids whose education is affected because of maybe one, poverty, two, loss of parents, both parents are single parent, breadwinners in the family. And when I came to Nairobi at first, my mission was not to start a school, but due to a neighbor of mine who had children and were not going to school, I started having tuitions with them in my own house. Okay. And I realized they were not going to any school. When I tried to do a follow-up, I realized it's due to poverty, lack of school fees. So that's how the idea of why can't I have kids that I can be teaching part-time when I'm not when I'm free. So I began having tuitions in my house after work.
From a distance, the structures barely resembles classroom. Inside, however, lessons are ongoing. This 2-iron sheet structure, rented, divided with cardboard partitions, is shared across 5 grades with 75 learners in total. According to Japheth, he has 7 teachers, but not all of them meet the minimum standards set by the Teachers Service Commission.
Out of the 100% of the pupils you have, 20% are the ones who are paid. So retaining and sustaining teachers, and in most cases here we call them volunteers, because we've got teachers who come to teach and you only give them maybe even 200, 300 shillings per day. Sometimes even not even per day. There are those teachers who come and teach and go. We always call them volunteers.
According to the Ministry of Education, APBET Schools Registration Framework that was drafted in September 2015 and signed by the former Education Cabinet Secretary Dr. Fred Matiang'i, it states that, and I quote, "All APBET schools teachers shall meet the minimum entry requirements in terms of teacher training. APBET schools shall provide tuition facilities such as classroom and libraries that may be smaller than the standard set for public schools and comply with the guidelines on health and safety for all learners as per the school safety manual published by the ministry." In JB schools, the conditions are stark. Only 2 pit latrines that serve both the pupils and the tenants living in the same compound. Pools of stagnant water collect in the swampy area surrounding the school. Stray dogs roam freely, posing a real threat to learners.
Generally, here there are around 75, and the other school there are around 121.
So in this branch, the Kabiria branch, the 75 pupils are divided across how many grades? Distributed across?
They're distributed across 5 grades.
Yeah. So the school has PP1 or the daycare?
Yeah, it has PP1 up to grade 5.
These conditions raise serious concerns if learning is taking place in an overcrowded, poorly constructed classroom with inadequate ventilation. Who is responsible for ensuring that minimum safety and infrastructural standards are met? And if such institutions are filling a critical gap in public education, why are they operating without public funding or adequate safety and protection for the pupils enrolled? Beyond policy debates and statistics, the reality of alternative schools is lived daily in the classrooms where teachers navigate the intersection of dedication and scarcity. For Georgina Mweru, she has to handle the learners in class both as a teacher and a parent. But why?
According to this parent, the status, their status, maybe unapata wengine, they cannot afford money to buy textbooks, even exercise books, and leave alone that you can. Others are not even in a position to provide for their kids. Tuseme lunch, you find that watoto wengine hawana lunch, so they stay like that in class, and you find it inakuwa ngumu kufunza because the children are hungry. As a teacher, I just sacrifice. Maybe I go an extra mile. If I have anything, I buy just snacks for the kids, at least so that wafikishe jioni and they understand something.
Her experience mirrors findings from a study conducted by the African Population and Health Research Center in March 2024, where the findings indicated that children in the informal schools access low-quality education as manifested in temporary teachers, untrained teachers, high teacher absenteeism, inadequate scholastic materials, and poor learning facilities. Nairobi County faces a shortage of public primary schools. According to the data by the county's education department, there are only 225 public primary schools and ECD center, that making it about 30% of the total schools in the city.
Meaning that almost 70% of our schools, both in primary and secondary in Nairobi, are actually private. And only about 30% of them are public.
The schools intend to serve about 5 million people. Due to this crisis, parents are forced to seek alternative means. For Jacqueline Mutuvachi, a parent from the Happy Hour Education Center, an APBET school in Kawangware, explains why she transferred her 2 children from a public school.
Nilikuwa nimejaribu hiyo shule ya umma, but unajua kulingana na mapato. Sasa ikawa mtoto hata akienda huko hujalipa anarudishwa. Ikifika saa 7 na unaona saa 6 mtoto akukwamla, anakuambia tumepewa tu lunch, tukaambiwa tuende.
Despite the challenges that are evident in the sector, she believes she made the right decision.
Nilikuwa nimempeleka mali watoto ni wengi zaidi. Nikaona sasa hata mali kuna wengi hao na performance hakuna, hizo vitabu asiangaliwi kila siku. Unakuta heri mali hao watoto ni wachache, but mwalimu anafuatilia na mtoto ana improve.
For over 25 years, Francis Wanjala, an educationist and chairperson of the APBET Schools Association in Dagoretti South Sub-County, confirms that he has watched these communities refuse to let their children be left behind.
You'll also notice that the restrictions that are given in the public schools, whereby a child must be in proper school uniform, it has actually contributed to these schools to rise, because these schools give a chance to any child, any learner, as long as they have books and they're willing to come to school. In APBET schools, they are given such chances. So you realize that such APBET schools are really coming up because of that.
Sasa ndio nikaenda vile sasa teacher alikuwa anakuja napata watoto wako kwa mla. Tukaniambia pana, leta tu watoto shule chenye utakuwa unapata utakuwa unaleta. Kikubwa watoto wasome. Ndio maana nikachukua jukumu ya kutransfer huko, nikawaleta huko.
Most of the APBET schools, quite a number, they are not registered, but we already have the schools now going through the registration, and a number of schools now they are fully registered by the Ministry of Education with the so-called APBET schools.
Wanjala believes that the government should introduce capitation to APBET schools, and also the county government of Nairobi to enroll this Shina County program to these schools.
The APBET school are there to stay if the government can support them, because these APBET schools, has been a home to many children that miss opportunities to be admitted in public schools. It is also my thinking is that the government to give out to support these APBET schools with school feeding program. If the government can give us food, these children, APBET school will be a heaven for them. Because you cannot teach an hungry child. Let them provide school feeding program to the learners in this sector.
APBET schools continue to expand rapidly across Nairobi's informal settlements, providing access where public schools cannot.
What the APBET schools are doing, they are doing a recommendable job. And we are not just complimenting. We are actually practicing and doing what the government is expected to do. We for sure, in a way we are complimenting, but in the real sense, the APBET schools, without the existence of the APBET schools, it will be chaotic in this kind of schools. So the government should be able to applaud what the public schools are, the APBET schools are doing, support the teachers for training, do the right, give them support and make sure that these teachers are properly trained and supported until they are able to offer what is required.
Despite operating outside formal legal recognition, leaving them in limbo, a bill sponsored by Mathare Member of Parliament Anthony Oluoch on 18th of February 2025 seeks to amend the 2013 Basic Education Act, aiming to address the legal gaps. The bill proposes to provide official registration and recognition of APBET schools, make schools eligible for government funding and capitation grants, establish oversight mechanism to monitor education standards, include APBET schools in county and national education planning. While the legislation seeks to integrate APBET schools into the formal system, questions remain. How will oversight be enforced in informal settlements? Will funding reach all schools equitably? And what mechanisms will ensure quality education for children in resource-limited settings? Previously, the former Cabinet Secretary for Education, Ezekiel Machogu, admitted live on television that Nairobi County is facing a huge shortage of public primary schools.
Of others are in private schools because they cannot be able to get space in our public schools.
To understand the government's position on APBET schools, we sought an official comment from the Dagoretti South Sub-County Education Office. Officials there indicated they could not grant an on-record interview without clearance from the Principal Secretary for Basic Education, Professor Julius Bitok. And on Friday, the 27th of February 2026, we personally delivered the letter to the Principal Secretary Office. And on Monday, the 2nd of March 2026, we also sent an email reminder. By the time of publishing this report, no response has been received from the Principal Secretary Office, yet the Basic Education Act of 2013 requires that all education institutions be registered and meet prescribed standards that are set by the Ministry of Education. The law also mandates quality assurance and supervision to safeguard learners. If institutions operate under community-based organization status while functioning as schools, questions arise. Who monitors compliance? Who ensures teachers are properly registered? And who is ultimately accountable for maintaining standards?
For many families here, the choice is really between a good school and a bad one. It is between what is available and what is possible. And as Kenya, through the National Assembly, continues to debate on how to regulate alternative basic education providers, the future of thousands of these children may depend on whether this reform will not only improve access, but also quality in the classrooms.